Author's Note. Welcome to the Asian Tapestry. Hello and thank you for joining me. The Asian Tapestry is a podcast about myths, legends, and lore from Asia. I will be looking at all sorts of fables about animals, people, and nature, as well as ancient epics or sagas, such as the Sanskrit epic the Mahabharata from ancient India, the renowned Babylonian epic of Gilgamesh, the Rustum saga, a Persian epic, and really so many more exciting epics. I will also delve into urban legends and mysteries from Asia, which can be anything from hauntings to cold cases, so there's sure to be something for everyone and anyone interested in tales from Asia. The Asian Tapestry is really made up of what I'm calling the Book of Fables. Season 1 is Book 1, and Episode 1 is Chapter 1, etc. You're going to be helping me put this book together, and I hope that it'll be a magical journey for all of us as we discover new, or rather old, and wondrous things about Asia. For those who are not following the launch progress of this podcast, my name is Thashirapada, and I actually run another podcast called Legendary Africa, which I produce and host with my 2 dogs. Yep, you heard me right. It's a podcast on African myths, legends, and lore, but I chuck in comical bits, and it's much more fun and goofier than this one will be. You can check it out on any popular podcast platform. I decided to create the Asian Tapestry because I felt that it would, in a way, complete who I am as a podcast writer. I'm an Indian woman born in South Africa, and so is my mother, and her mother, and her mother's mother. So I think of myself first and foremost as a born and bred South African. It's one of the main reasons creating Legendary Africa felt so right. I originally started off with world myths, but quickly switched to Afrocentric tales, because I realized how connected I was to tales from Africa compared to Europe. Now with Asian Tapestry, I feel the same thing. My ancestry is from the south of India, and although this podcast will be looking at all kinds of Asian fables, I feel grounded in the knowledge that I am connected to them all in this way as an Asian woman. When I had first conceptualized this podcast, it was at the beginning of the COVID pandemic, still relatively early days, especially for South Africa. Now that I am truly launching it, I cannot do so without spending a bit of time speaking about the recent anti-Asian discrimination which is sweeping across the world. Anti-Asian sentiment is not new to the modern world. However, I believe it was perhaps a bit more hidden in certain places, restricted to family gatherings and offhand remarks by the individual. Other places it was more obvious, such as in comedy skits, business discrimination, and wage discrepancies. And in still other regions, the sentiment was voiced by bigot politicians, visible and tangible discrimination in certain sectors of work, such as the film industry, and much more dangerously, racist dialogue against Asian people and their beliefs, and violent acts against individuals. With the COVID pandemic strangling the world, some people and groups choose to turn against their Asian neighbors, colleagues, and perhaps even their friends. In this case, of course, I am referring to what is happening in America right now. That's not to say that anti-Asian sentiment is absent from other areas, of course not. It is present around the world, including South Africa, increasingly so, in fact. And this sentiment ranges from South Africans using anti-Asian slurs to actively discriminating against Asian business owners, customers, or other workers. But what is happening in America right now is plain and simply heartbreaking. A 61-year-old Filipino-American man is slashed with a box cutter across the face, resulting in nearly 100 stitches. A 91-year-old Asian man was shoved to the ground. An 84-year-old man, originally from Thailand, died from his injuries after being deliberately knocked down. And then there's the horrific Atlanta shooting, which killed 8 people, 6 of which were Asian American women. And this was not an isolated incident, but one of more than 500 hate crimes against Asians. Last year, when I was still co-hosting my other podcast, Legendary Africa, with my sister Vasilijus, who has since passed away, we spoke strongly against racist attacks and discriminatory dialogue against black people and people of color. And we supported the Black Lives Matter movement, which was happening, and which is still happening in America and around the world. I do the same now against this anti-Asian movement and its poisonous rhetoric, and I think Roshali would agree. Some may wonder, how crazy can I be to begin the very first episode of my new podcast with such a so-called controversial topic? But it really shouldn't be controversial. And now, more than ever, I hope that the Asian Tapestry can bring Asian tales to the fore for the purpose of bringing people together, Asian and non-Asian, to share our own fable of love, adventure, grief and hope with each other. If you want to support or learn about the #StopAsianHate movement, there are many online resources available, and a few of the sources I used will be in the show notes. A good main source to check out is the stopaapihate.org website, which will also be in the show notes. But I do apologize. I know that was a heavy start to what I hope is going to be a relaxing, enjoyable, and thrilling podcast. So if I haven't already scared you off, and you've actually stuck around to the end of this author's note, firstly, thank you. And secondly, there are 3 chapters currently up on all popular podcasting platforms. All 3 fables start our journey through Asia and India. Chapter 1, The Tiger and the Jackal, is an animal tale. Chapter 2, Harisaman and the Frog Who Saved His Life, is a quite hilarious folktale. And Chapter 3, The Cat and the Princess and the Silver Ring, is another magical, animal-centric fable. I am your host, the Shirapatha, and you have been listening to the Asian Tapestry. If you like what you hear, please take a few moments to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else you can leave reviews, and subscribe on whichever podcast platform you use. Remember to use the form on my website or DM me your name to say that you've subscribed or listened, and your name will soon appear in the Cave of Wonders on my website. Follow on Twitter and Instagram at Asian Tapestry 1, and email me at theasiantapestrypod@gmail.com. This podcast is a proud member of the Straight Up Strange network, and please check us out via the link in the show notes. Intro music was Jalandhar by Kevin MacLeod, and outro music is Raga, Dance of Music by Akash Gandhi. Further details, including license information, may be found in the show notes. Are you ready to open the book of fables?